All right, you're in your little orange book. We're on page 212 and 213. Here are the vocab words. Amount. James drank a small amount of water. Amount just means how much of something there is. Astronomy. Kia looked at the stars when she studied astronomy. You know that astro means star. We've worked on that before. So astronomy is studying the stars and the things in the sky. Globe. Our Earth is a big, round globe. Just means a big sphere with the Earth on it. Solar system. There are 8 planets in our solar system. Support. My dad and I support our favorite baseball team by cheering. Support means like you root for them and you want them to do well. Surface. An astronaut walks on the dry, dusty surface of the moon. The surface just means the top part. You can't walk under the surface unless you dig a tunnel. Temperature. We can have fun when the temperature outside is cold. You know what temperature means, how hot or how cold something is. Warmth. Will and Paul cooked marshmallows over the warmth of a fire. Warmth just means something is warm. Turn the page. We've got a story called Earth and Its Neighbors, and up here it says genre expository. Expository just means it's a science or a social studies story, and since this is about the Earth and stars, it's got to be some sort of science story, right? The essential question today is, what do we know about Earth and its neighbors? Read about how we have learned about space. And this picture caption right here says, Galileo studied the sky with a telescope he built. And this picture caption says, the moon is Earth's closest neighbor. Okay, I'm going to start up here. If the sun could talk, it might say, look at me, look at my sunspots. I am so hot. Without the sun, Earth would be a cold, dark planet. How do we know this? Thanks to the astronomer Galileo, we know a lot about the sun and the rest of our solar system. Telescopes looking up. Galileo did not invent the telescope. However, 400 years ago, he did build one that was strong enough to study the sky. When Galileo looked into space, he saw the rocky surface of the moon. When he looked at the sun, he discovered spots on its fiery surface. Astronomy, or the study of space, began with the simple telescope, but astronomers wanted to look at the sky more closely. They made bigger telescopes that could see further than the one Galileo used. Astronomers still had many questions. Satellites, a step closer. In 1958, scientists launched Explorer 1, the first American satellite into space. It was an exciting day for America. Soon many satellites circled the globe and took photographs of Earth, the moon, stars, and other planets. They collected a large amount of information. Satellites even tracked the temperature on the planet Saturn. Scientists have discovered many things about the solar system from satellites. That's why they kept sending more into space. Soon there were hundreds of satellites in space making amazing discoveries. But astronomers wanted to know even more. That's why they found a way to put a man on the moon. And this picture caption right here says, Explorer 1 takes off. One giant leap. In 1961, Alan Shepard became America's first astronaut. He blasted off into space. in a rocket and then turned around and came back to Earth. His short trip was a big success. Shepard's flight proved that people could go into space. After Shepard, more astronauts went into space. Some orbited the Earth, some walked on the dusty, bumpy surface of the moon. They took pictures and collected moon rocks. Astronauts wanted to answer some important questions. Did the sun's warmth heat the moon? Could the moon support life someday? This picture caption says, astronaut Edwin Buzz Aldrin walks toward the lunar module. Aldrin left his footprints on the moon. And this one says, Aldrin brought home this moon rock. Up here at the top. Scientists studied the photographs and moon rocks that the astronauts brought back. They made exciting discoveries using telescopes and satellites, but it wasn't enough. Scientists wanted to get closer to the other planets. Soon they found a way. Hubble and beyond. Scientists created another telescope, but this time it was gigantic. They sent it up into space. The Hubble Space Telescope was launched in 1990. It's still up there and orbits the Earth above the clouds. It takes clear, close-up photographs of stars and planets. It sends fascinating information back to Earth. The Hubble helps scientists study Earth and its neighbors. It also helps astronomers see planets outside our solar system. This says it takes the Hubble telescope 96 minutes to orbit the Earth. More discoveries every day. Scientists are still asking questions about Earth and its neighbors in space. With the help of satellites, telescopes, and astronauts, they will continue to explore and find answers. This chart says, what can we see? With our eyes, what can we see on the moon? We can just see the moon. With a simple telescope, what can we see? We can see craters on the moon. With the Hubble telescope, we can see planets outside our solar system. With our eyes, we can see the sun. We can see Mars. With a telescope, we can see sunspots. We can see clouds around Jupiter. With the Hubble telescope, we can see stars bigger than the sun, and far, far away, we can see Jupiter's surface. And then this says, this is a Hubble telescope photo of an exploding star. Here's questions to ask yourself. How have we learned about Earth and its neighbors in space? And what do you see when you look at the sky? Okay, turn the page. This is summarize. Summarize just means you say what the story was about in your own words and not a whole long, great big story, just a little bit about what did you learn. This says, I read that Galileo built a telescope, he discovered sunspots, and saw the moon's surface. So that's a summary right there. You don't have to say pages and pages. That's a summary. This is about main idea and key details. It says, I can reread and look for important details about satellites. Then I can figure out what these details have in common to figure out the main idea. This says expository text. I already told you about that. That means it's a science or a social studies story. It's going to give you information. This says it gives you facts and information about a topic. It has text features such as headings, keywords, and charts. And this says, I can tell that Earth and its neighbors is expository text. It gives facts and information about telescopes, satellites, and space. It has headings, keywords, and a chart. This talks about suffixes, words that have endings on the end, things on the end, like ly means in a certain way. Rocky means full of rock. It has a bunch of rocks. Then it's asking you, what does closely mean? What does dusty mean? What does bumpy mean? And this is somebody wrote